me again.
Oh, look how pretty that is.
Fun stuff.
Look, it's part. Oh, that is beautiful, Chef. Bon appetit.
Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. You know, I don't know about you, but my family keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it's those times we all get together that everybody's looking for a great meal. So today I'm going to share 3 of our family's favorites and hope that you can use them for your next special occasion. We're going to start with the honey glazed ham. You know, we always go pick one of those up pre-made, but today I'm going to show you how easy it is and how you can make it your own. And then how about that green bean casserole that Granny used to make? Well, we're going to learn how to make that from scratch as well. It is delicious. And then finally, VeryVera's coconut cake. It was our December cake of the month, but it is a wonderful contribution for dessert. I'm going to teach you how to ice it. And in Vera's Corner today, that ham bone is going to get turned into a delicious soup. So the meals keep coming right after the big meal is done. So lots to do. Let's get started. You know, we probably never have a gathering at my home without a ham. So I've gone the gamut with it. We've just had it sliced on a tray. I've picked it up at retail outlets before. But when they are on sale, you better buy one. You better put one in your freezer because this is so easy to do. The house is going to smell great. So this is a spiral cut ham, bone-in ham. And on sale, it's so reasonable. And what we're going to do here is to make it look like the ones that you see in all the magazine pictures. You're just going to take a sharp knife and you're going to start to create pockets where you can go in and insert things because the spiral is there. But what you want to do is make a design on the top that kind of opens up during the baking process. The other, you're going to just go diagonally the other way and you're just creating those openings. All right, so I've got that done. Now, most of the time people will use like pineapple circles and cherries. That's the traditional way. But we thought today we'd do something a little different because Vera always puts a twist on it. So we're going to insert some cloves of garlic just randomly throughout because this is going to have a little bit of a different look. This roasted garlic will go through it. And it's just going to bake up and be nice and brown and very tasty on the inside. So we'll put some of those. And then I went ahead and made the glaze that's going to go on top. Very easy to do. You need to create a double boiler effect with a saucepan and a glass bowl or a bowl that can absorb the heat. I put my butter in, my honey, and my dark brown Casserole syrup. And it's just going to really, it's a wonderful sugar coating that's going to go on this. The dark brown Casserole will also make sure that you get that really crisp caramelization to the top of this. So let's start. I'm going to actually I poured it into a Pyrex so we can just start drizzling that on the top. And throughout the baking process, we will go back in and add some more of this to it. So if you get on the edge, you can just watch it flow over. But even if you have some of this left over, this is great on top of chicken. If you put some chicken on the grill, use this as a base. So just the base for this can be used for other meats, pork tenderloin, you know, whatever you want to do with it. So I'm going to leave that for basting. The other thing we're going to do throughout the baking process is just make a few more openings where we can put some whole pecans. And actually, as this starts to caramelize, these will also just stick to the ham. So you're creating a little bit of a different look. The only other ingredient that really can't go on until the absolute last minute is fresh rosemary. And you know, I have my little pots on the porch at the cottage, and we grow our fresh herbs to use. So I just went out and picked some of this rosemary, but we can't put this on until the last 10 minutes. But then when this comes out of the oven, the caramelization will be on those leaves as well. It's going to be beautiful. So we're going to put this in the oven. It's going to bake for about 30 minutes per pound, and we'll be going through the basting process. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get started on the green bean casserole. This is not your grandmother's recipe, so come back with me. Welcome back, everybody, and if you're just joining me, I'm making food for a family gathering, and I know you have them all the time as well, and these menu items are probably seen many, many times in your family, but I'm just giving you different ways to do it today. So we've got the ham in the oven, and now I'm going to get started on the green bean casserole. Raise your hand if you say, I'll bring the green bean casserole. I mean, we've all had that recipe, but this is a modern version of the original recipe that was actually made by a man in the test kitchen at Campbell's Soup, cream of mushroom soup, and he invented this recipe, and for years and years it was on the can of cream of mushroom soup. But now this is a new version of this. So what I've gone ahead and done was I got the bechamel sauce made, basically a white sauce. You've seen me make it many times on the show, but if you've missed that and you'd like to know more about it, it's up on our YouTube channel. I hope you'll check it out. All right, so we've got green beans, mushrooms. We're going to add all of these flavors together. So what I've done with the green beans, you know, when we're going to have this casserole, I love to sit down on the couch. I love to put the tea towel in my lap. The green beans I snap into the yellow bowl that's been in my family forever and ever. And you want just a good bite size. And we actually teach the children in cooking camp how to snap beans because many of them don't have any idea. And for lots of us, we learned that from our mothers or our grandmothers. So that's now been done. It's been put into boiling water, just blanched for about 5 to 6 minutes. The next step is the fresh mushrooms that go in this recipe. So I used butter and olive oil. I've added the button mushrooms that have been sliced. We've got varying sizes there, so leave that just like it is. And then at the last minute, I put fresh thyme. I'll put the lid on it and let that sit, so that good flavor. So now that's finished. I'm just going to take the sprigs of fresh thyme out. We don't need those anymore. And now I'm going to mix these mushrooms in with the beans. And there's lots of good juice in there too. And I'm going to maybe hang on to that until the last minute. I don't want the casserole to be too soupy. Of course, there's a lot of water in fresh mushrooms. I mean, this aroma is fantastic. All right, so I'm just going to kind of mix that together. And then let's come back over here to this bechamel sauce that I did earlier. All right, so now I'm going to add to that fresh chopped garlic. We're going to put, I'm going to leave the salt till last, but I've got fresh cracked pepper. And you can do with this as little as much as you like. I kind of like pepper in this recipe. Okay, I'm going to add in freshly grated Parmesan. And because the Parmesan is salty, I'm going to actually wait and taste for salt when I put it all together. All right, so now this is going to go into my bowl with the green beans. So see, this is where the can of cream of mushroom soup came in back in the day. Actually, we looked it up and it was 1955. And I will have to admit that I was right around that same time myself. So this really speaks to me. Oh man, just look at that. And the fact that the beans are not completely mushy when you start is going to give this a little bit of a crunch. So if you've shied away from some of these vegetable casseroles because the vegetables are overdone, this is another reason why you're going to love this. All right, so it's perfect right out of the oven, just in a beautiful casserole dish. But going back to my catering days, I love to use pieces from my catering. And this is actually the base of a gorgeous copper chafing dish that I've used quite a bit in catering. So I'm just going to add this to this. to the casserole dish, and I've gone ahead and sprayed it. So if I want to keep this hot on my buffet, I can do that. So this is going to go in the oven. I'm going to be basting that ham again because it's needing a new coat of a sugar glaze on top of that. That's going to go in the oven. And in Vera's Corner today, we're going to learn more about a ham bone and what to do with it. So come back with me in just a few minutes and we'll get started on the coconut cake. If your next family gathering includes a ham as the main event, hopefully you're going to have nothing left but that ham bone. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious soup with that leftover bone. To start, reserve your ham bone and at least a cup of ham if possible. If you have no ham left, you can use deli ham. Place the ham bone in a large stock pot and add enough water to cover it halfway, about 6 to 7 cups. Season with salt and bring to a boil. Then reduce heat and simmer until fragrant, about 30 minutes to an hour. Discard the ham bone. Heat a tablespoon of olive oil in a Dutch oven over medium heat. Add 3 cups of minced garlic, a diced onion, 2 peeled and diced carrots, and a peeled and diced potato. Cook until the onions are translucent, about 2 to 3 minutes. Stir in the ham stock, a cup of canned and rinsed white kidney beans, 3/4 of a cup of frozen corn, 3/4 of a teaspoon of fresh thyme leaves, and 2 bay leaves. Add salt and pepper to taste. Bring to a boil, then reduce the heat and simmer until the potatoes are tender, about 10 to 12 minutes. Stir in 1½ cups of leftover ham and cook until heated through, about 1 to 2 minutes. Enjoy on a cozy night with some homemade cornbread. Okay, I know you're going to try that ham bone soup recipe. It's just delicious. It freezes beautifully. So we're going to complete the meal now. We've got the ham in the oven, the green bean casserole in the oven, and this is the VeryVera classic coconut cake. It's in our cookbook, and you know, it's just a beautiful and delicious dessert. So today, we're not going to actually make the cake on the show. We're going to talk to the icing part. We're going to speak to the technique and how we come together with this. I've got great descriptions of this in the book, but there's nothing like watching someone do it. So let's first start with the icing. It's just the traditional cream cheese, creaming the butter, the cream cheese together, adding in the flavorings, which in this case is vanilla and coconut. Then the hardest part is adding little bits, one by one, of the powdered sugar so it doesn't go flying all over the kitchen. You're just looking for it to get creamy. And what I've done is I've speeded it up throughout the process just to get it whipped really well as I continue to add the powdered sugar. And now to the cake part. So we've got the layers done, and I love to flip those out onto the sheet pan that I recommend in the book that's great for bars, but it's perfect for the size that I want the layers to be. Keep in mind that I used to ship this cake. They had to go in a tin or a box that was exactly this height. So the whole technique of how thick the layers had to be and how much icing to put on kept us in tow with the way that cake was going to look when it arrived. So I've trimmed the top of the layers the exact size of the edge of the pan by putting my long serrated knife on the edge, and you just saw across. Now, the leftover scraps, you think, well, what is she going to do with that? Well, we actually had a contest at work. We used to put those in little Ziploc bags, and if you ate lunch with us in our cafe, you get to leave with a bag full of cake scraps. So it was a lot of fun. So we've done the cardboard circle. I put a little bit of icing. Now I've started with the first layer. You're going to put about 1/2 cup of icing and spread that all the way to the edges. And then you build up the next layer and then the top layer. Now we're going to do what is called the crumb coat. And the crumb coat is just to make sure the crumbs don't bleed through for the final coat of icing. So what you're going to do there is just take about 1.5 tablespoons of icing at a time. You're going to go around the sides of the cake little by little, and you're just covering up the layer with a very thin coat. At that point, this is where my Sub-Zero and Wolf under the counter freezer is perfect. I'm just gonna open up that drawer, put that cake down in there, let it get good and hard so that now I'm ready to do the finished coat. So here we are, and it's ready to go with the next coat. And again, you're gonna use about 1.5 tablespoons of icing, and you're just gonna smooth this next final coat of icing over the edge. And what makes this so much easier to do now is that that undercoat is nice and hard, and it's also cold. So it's almost like it immediately starts sticking. You're gonna feel like you've been working in a bakery for years when you actually go through this process the way that I've described it. One of the things that people used to say was, well, I don't want a cake that's been frozen. Well, you know, every single cake that we shipped was frozen. And if you followed the instructions to thaw it out the day before, it just turned out beautifully. All right, so the swirl that goes on the top, I'm gonna move to that quickly, is what we was called the Kitty Swirl, named after Kitty Hopkins, that was a wonderful member of our team that taught everybody at VeryVera how to do this. Was just the way we iced and finished those cakes. And then Rebecca Jefferson came in behind her, and every member of our team learned from Miss Rebecca. All right, so during the break, I'm gonna finish this cake off, and when we come back, I'm gonna show you how to display this beautiful menu for a number of different holidays and occasions that you might be sharing with your family. So get ready to learn how to make it look special no matter what the occasion is. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the show today. I always feel like it's such a privilege to be welcomed into your home each week, and these recipes are so easy. Your next family gathering is going to be completely different, and as always, they're available on our website at VeryVera.com. All right, let's start with the ham. Isn't it gorgeous? And you know, you will never buy another store-bought glazed ham ever again because this is easy. You can take advantage of sales, and just look at how beautiful it is displayed on this tray. So what we did, we scored it on the top, we added the fresh garlic inserted into the different parts of the ham. We made that delicious glaze that was so sweet. It's caramelized. I've walked you through the process of basting it. Then the last 10 minutes, I added in the fresh rosemary, more of that glaze, and put it on broil, so you got that great caramelized sugar look. Just delicious. Now for the green bean casserole. You will know the difference the next time someone brings the one that's made with Campbell's cream of mushroom soup. You've got a nice crispness to the green beans. The sauce is so creamy, it's so delicious. The French onions that go on the top really bring it back home, and you really put those on at the very last minute because they're French fried. But this is also a great leftover. It heats back up really, really well, and I just love the copper chafer that brings me back to my catering roots using chafing dishes. And then finally, the coconut cake. I've walked you through the process that I visually describe in the cookbook on how to do the layers, how to cut it so that they're all even, how much icing to put between each layer, how to take it and make that crumb coat so it's easy to ice. You've improved the steps, and you'll never say again, I don't know how to ice a layer cake. And just look how beautiful it is. It's just scrumptious, and I always recommend that you eat cake at room temperature. All right, so the way I've decorated today, for Christmas, I love to use the fresh greens, pine cones. I love to bring in the golds and really make it look festive. But what if this was Thanksgiving? You could use the same serving pieces and then just bring in your cotton balls, straws, more pine cones, maybe bring in the copper leaves that you've spray painted to go with your copper chafing dish. Really rustic looking. I love that look. And then what about Easter? You know, it's not Easter without a ham, and certainly the rest of these recipes. And so bring in your favorite things from Easter, maybe things the children have made. Easter eggs, just bright, colorful colors. So you've created a landscape from the same recipes, the same serving pieces. You've just changed it out to match with the time of year. You know, when you think about making these menus, flavor profiles are important. When you look at ham and you have a dessert that's made out of coconut, you could actually sprinkle coconut on this ham before it goes back in for the last 10 seconds. So that's how you know how to put flavors together when you're writing menus. Green beans are just universally enjoyed by everyone. And in this particular recipe, the mushrooms are so big that if you've got that picky eater that doesn't like them, they can pick them out. So choose menus wisely when you're thinking about your family. And as I always say on the Very Vera show, no matter what you do, do it in good taste. We have enjoyed so much bringing our twist to classic recipes, and I hope you'll stay with us. Always look for us on our social media channels, and we hope you'll come back again with us next week.
To see what's cooking with the Very Vera Show, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.